supposed to have this around. I forgot. I'm supposed to start this way. I forgot. Supposed to start this way. Show outside. Look at this. There were 3 kegs, 3 beer kegs on the left. It tells you what was going on last night, the last few days of the year. It's insane here. It's insane. It's not garbage day. Garbage is all done. Those garbage packages, you see, that's private garbage collection from the oyster restaurant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And from 1 keg we went to 2, now we went to 3 kegs. Cardboard was done last night. Bottles and cans were out last night. We are clean here. We've got most of our garbage out of here. The last city pickup for us was Tuesday morning, the last burnable garbage pickup. There would be one tomorrow, Friday normally, but that's off for the New Year. So the next garbage pickup for us will be a week from now. And the garbage you're seeing here, this is commercial garbage company. The big restaurants, the city doesn't pick up from them. They hire commercial garbage pickuppers. And the beer kegs, they've expanded to 3. The joints are jumping. It was jumping last night till you name it. I was long asleep. It was noisy, noisy, noisy. People were fighting out there. Okay, someone's asking already, any stream happening Friday, New Year's Eve for you, New Year's Day for me. I want to take it off for that one, the same as last week with Christmas. I would like New Year's morning to wake up. The plan is I'm going to take the train to Senju Ohashi, the bridge that goes over the river up at Senju. I'm going to walk down to the Pacific Ocean. Take a lunch with me and spend the day walking down the river all the way to the bottom. That's my plan for New Year's morning. So I really don't want to be here streaming Saturday morning, Friday night for you guys. So. And then back to normal on Monday, which we will still be closed and stuff. But Okay. Yeah, the work today, there's a few things I need to do and a few things I have to do and a few things I can mix this up with. There's going to be no carving here this morning. My carving bench is clear. The blocks are all upstairs. My next carving job doesn't start for a couple of weeks. It's background work for me today. I have 2 jobs that must be done this morning. One is I've got to do some more embossing. And again, I won't do the whole thing. I'll do maybe half the deck. Then the other thing I have to do, I'm sorry, is straight up office work. I have to send out our Japanese New Year's cards that we've blown past the deadline, and if I don't do that today, they won't arrive January 1st. So you're going to see me write some names, Happy New Year, put some stuff in envelopes. So that won't be interesting. It's up to you guys to poke me into making an interesting chat. But before we do that, let me do a little bit of embossing, because that really has to be done, and they've got to be off to Ome this afternoon. They're not actually going to be processing it for a few days, but today's the last day that I can ship it to Ome. So let me get this. Oh, this also. This is not show and tell. Halfway along, after I do some embossing, remind me to talk to you about this. It's not our show and tell, but it is. I got a post-Christmas present. Someone had a keg party out front. That's the beer cans from the oyster shack next door. And as I said, they were jumping. They were jumping. They're pretty much back to normal business. Full staff, full parties, whatever. Look at this little dinner yesterday. God. Recognize this? This came on my desk yesterday. Ishikawa-san just finished another batch of the yokai prints. And these are the cover. This is the cover wrapping for the little yokai set we have. She just finished another batch. That is one popular little item. Okay, this is about the New Year's cards. Let's get to that later. There's the actual New Year print. We'll see it later. The asbestos building, nothing has started yet. They're still shrouded. I mean, when I say shrouded, I mean it's still all in, it's got the construction wrapping around it. So nothing has started. They had told us they were going to start December 24th. It hasn't happened yet. I don't know why. We're going to do this one. This is from last year's series. This is the one that's going to get embossed this morning. Somebody's asking about paper needed to be taken out today. One package. There's one. Day chance coming in today and tomorrow. And then January 1, 2, 3, we're Death Valley. Nobody will be here. All the normal staff, background staff, office people, everything else, they are gone. They are long gone. Aoyama-san's out. Yamada-san is off. Watanabe-san's off for the new year. Just me. Okay, I need an in tray and an out tray. Okay, let's do this. So as I said, we'll spend the first maybe 20-25 minutes or so doing some embossing. Then we'll switch to showing you those wonderful old prints that came in yesterday. Then I'll do some of my lettering work, and then we'll do a show and tell. We do have a show and tell package. And in fact, the show and tell, I have option A and option B. Option A today is prepared here. It's really an interesting one that I got a few weeks ago. But option B is far, far, far more interesting. It's something I bought on auction a few days ago, and the guy yesterday said he's delivering it by post office. And the post office, you've seen him. It's the guy that sometimes drops it outside the door. If we see that just before show and tell time, we're going to switch plans and open that one because it is dynamite fun. Absolutely dynamite fun. Anyway, Dave, do something. Do something. Interesting accent I have here. Kind of mixed, can't place it. I don't know. You tell me. You know, the background is 5 years in England, 30 years in Canada, and now 36 years in Japan. And it was Canadian prairies for the most part. So you've got a little bit of I went to sort of a little bit of a posh prep school for a few years in Britain. So when I came out of Britain after 5 years old, I must have had a very trying to be posh little accent. That obviously got kicked out of me pretty quickly going to elementary school on the Canadian prairies. Okay, here's what we're doing. I think we can get this close up. We're embossing the name on the print. And you can see it there. And this is me. It says, where am I here? Hi. It says Hori, carving. It then says Buru. It's the phonetic lettering for do. And then it says Suri, it's Yamamoto Shun. So as a rare edition, actually I'm the one who gets on here this morning. That doesn't happen very often anymore. Oh, my mother's here. Good morning, good morning. How you doing, Mom? You were a well-brought-up English boy. I'm not going to deny that at all. But somebody was asking about the accent, so I guess clearly I must have had an English accent at that point, and then switched to whatever, being a Canadian, typical Canadian schoolboy / teenager. Not Horiburu, no. So you can hear the English. I don't know because I can't hear my own voice. But during the years we had the busy shop here. Just before the virus, there was people from all over the world, and it was fun. Sometimes people would come in, and I could hear that perhaps they had come from, say, for example, Lancashire or Yorkshire. I could recognize this much of it. Talk to them and say, hey, you come from somewhere not too far from where I do, you know. And they're like, what are you talking about? So, and sometimes I would get it right. I would say, that sounds to me like you're from Huddersfield, right, or something? And the guy's like, his jaw drops to the floor. How did you, guy, he thinks I'm American, an American in Japan, how do you recognize a Huddersfield accent, you know? And I can, well, I'm just playing around. No one has an accent until you go somewhere else. Yeah, yes, I guess so. somebody thinks Kawasaki-san carved this one. No, I carved this one and Taran-san carved this one. No? Am I making a mistake here? Am I making a mistake? Taran-san, speak up. Taran-san thinks I'm making a mistake here. Taran-san, who is here, he did some of the back, he did some of this. He did the waterfall. We were running out of time. Am I making a mistake? I did the dog, Kawasaki-san did this one. How many have I done? I think he's right. What I did on this one, I printed a batch. That's why I'm thinking that I did this one. He's right. He's right. He's right. He's right. He's right. Okay, gang, pause for a minute here. I have to go upstairs. I have to go upstairs and change the embossing board. I am very glad Taran-san is here this morning. Yeah, you saw the printing. She did. Okay. Excuse me, 2-minute break on this stream. I have to go upstairs and get a new board. Chocolate eggs all around. Chocolate eggs. So. Yeah. More double chocolate egg for Taran-san. Absolutely fantastic. So, who's going to get these rare 7 prints? Let me go and get the board. Hang on a sec. Yeah, yokatta. Hontoni yokatta. Stealing credit from my employees. Yoいしょ。Upside down stamps to show. We've done this before that I remember once. One of the printers, it was Chiharu-san. She did a batch of, it was the 4th print in the Woodbuck Pilgrimage series. She had printed them and she had called back to the office here to find out which of the jigs to use for putting the names on. And somebody gave her the wrong information. So she did a whole batch of prints. It was 80 or 90 prints or so with the wrong information. I think she put, I don't even remember, she put Kawasaki instead of Chonsan or something like this. I wasn't involved. My name wasn't involved. And there we were. The whole batch was there. They came back with the wrong printer's name, the wrong carver's name. And always now, what do? We can't change it. We can't cut it off. What are we going to do? So I printed an errata sheet, like they stick it in front of books. They used to do that sort of thing. I printed an errata sheet that fits at the same size of the print, and it explained what went on. I took blame for it, blah, blah, blah. So there's that batch of 80 prints out in the world with the wrong name on them. And I guess eventually it'll get separated from that sheet. So some people in the future, some super careful researchers or AI will find, here are 2 prints from the Mokuhankan studio with different carver's name on them. What's going on? One of them is clearly a lie. So yeah, there are errors. I'm sorry. It's not 100% perfect. We see this from the Doi workshop all the time. We'll get prints from them that will say carved by Harada, printed by Yamamoto or something. And then the next time we get it, it'll say carved by Endo, printed by Ito-san or something. And they are really, we know that those companies are just kind of, they don't really care about it, and it's loose, and if they can't find one on the desk, they'll use another one, because these carvers were dead many, many, many years ago. So here in Japan, it really is kind of fast and loose, and you cannot trust that old stuff any farther than you can throw it. So in general, we try and be clean and honest about this, but as you have just seen, errors do slip in. So good catch. Thank you very much, gang. Best of intentions here, but sometimes someone saying Ito-san's blocks are still in use. I don't have any of them, but the different publishers who hired him to do their work, I don't know who used him. Yamada Shoin used him a lot. They're gone. Those blocks must be scattered to the winds or in a warehouse somewhere. Don't know where they are. Ooh, that's a bit tight, a bit too close. There's the new one now. Here we are. It's Hori Kawasaki Suri Yamamoto Shun. That's a bit too close. Let's back it off. Boy, that's a lot of excitement for one morning. Oh, God. Bingo, we got it. Nanda. Hontoni lucky, lucky, lucky. So I'm not sure what news we have out here. The district is jumping. The boys across the street, he's doing his rappelling thing. He's doing it half a dozen times a day. He was doing it again last night out there for the crowds going to the restaurants. I've got no idea. He's okay with this, or it's going to end in disaster. I don't know. The next few days, you know, he'll be up there all the time. It's a big attractor for them. They found that when he gets up there on the roof and starts, the guy down at the bottom starts shouting, "Hey, someone's on the roof, look what's going on." They play this little game, you know, and the ninja guy's up on the roof in black, whatever. And the guy downstairs, he's shouting, and they're passing out pamphlets, you know, do the ninja experience. So it's for them, they've learned this is a big advertising deal. Like the guys in the theater next door, they're touting for their comedy theater, the vaudeville show. Oh what I, come on inside, it's warm inside, watch our jokesters, you know. And the guys across the street now in Ninja, they have picked up the same thing. They have got to draw attention to what they're doing. And this is their latest shtick for doing this. Just wondering how this would play in some other city. If this were Vancouver or New York, you can do this in New York. Some guy just starts rappelling down the front of a building and jumps up to the top and does it again. Could you do this in New York? Or the cop's going to come over and say, "Okay, guy, I think maybe you can, you know, take this act somewhere else." I don't know. You couldn't do it in New York because the scaffolding will be in the way. It feels like that sometimes here in Tokyo too, you know. So many buildings under construction or under maintenance. Yeah. Someone's talking talking about a Bob Ross wig, and I think Cameron was trying to talk me into that a while back. Or who was it? A year ago or 2 years ago. Somebody found on Amazon.com. They found Bob Ross wigs. They're all over the place, I guess. And someone said for next April Fool's Day, I should get one of those wigs and do a stream or something. I don't know. I don't think I'll try it. I'm not an actor specifically, so. Well, the kid across the street doing the rappelling, he's an employee. He's not the owner, of course. He's just one of the kids who works there doing the... What is this? This is our Oshibori truck. The Bob Ross wig for Halloween. We were thinking, just simply April Fool's Day, But I'm not. They're not going to. They tried to talk me into it, but I backed off. Whatever. I'd have to watch a bunch of the programs and learn a bunch of the phrases. Like whatever they do. He does the thing with the brush and stuff. I haven't seen enough of those programs to be hip on his vocabulary. Bob Ross wigs are a big deal. Beat the devil out of it. Yeah, that's the phrase. So I'd have to learn a bunch more of the catchphrases. Get the wig. I don't know. But what are you going to do with the woodblock print? I can't make a woodblock print start to finish. Well, we did in 3 hours, but I can't replicate that with a Bob Ross vibe all the way through for 3 hours. It's not possible. Whatever. What's somebody asking here? How did the carvers get the outlines to follow? I mean, I'm not quite sure what the question is there. If you're asking like basically how woodblock prints are made, there is one of the there's a bunch. There's some of the videos on our channel that you show the whole process start to finish. If you poke around the YouTube channel, there are some. If you look for a video called Chibi Heroes Production, I think that's the one. And it's one video, start to finish, from Jed sketching all the way through to me riding my bike to the post office. And you can see how the color separations are made. You can see how the thing actually physically works. I don't have a link sitting here right now at my fingertips, but there is a video over there on our channel that you can sit and watch. It takes about 15 minutes and it shows the entire process, start to finish. Annabelle San, you're asking about Jimbocho. Few shops, Yamada Shoten. They have a little bit of an online thing. They sell on Yahoo Auctions and they have a shop and they have the kind of stuff that we show here on our show and tell. Yamada Shoten is one of them. Another one, a little bit more expensive, but it's a very, very nice shop, is Hara Shobo. I'm assuming these guys are all still in business. I haven't been to Jimbocho myself now in years. Your first stop would be Yamada Shoten, then go across the street to Hara Shobo. Then a couple more, again, if these guys are still in business, I have no idea. There's another shop, the third one I would go to would be a shop called Toshu Sai. They've taken their name from Sharaku, the designer, his first name, Toshu Sai Sharaku. And then the fourth one I would check out, again, if they are still there, is a place called Ebisu Do, and that's in the back street behind Yamada. Those are the 4 shops in Jimbocho that I would head for today if I were going down to look for some books and prints and whatever. There's a 5th one there on the front street right next to Yamada Shoten. It's called Mita Arts. It's, in a word, it's upscale. It is very, very, very expensive. And they also they tend not to have the smaller, interesting items, the stuff that's interesting for me. They go for the real stuff, and they price it. They've got a shop in New York, so they price it for like Wall Street brokers who just got their bonuses and stuff like this. It's not the kind of place I would go in at all. That's Meta Arts. But now that you bring this up, I am curious how many of those shops there have survived this thing. Good question. I never thought about that, you know. I think Harashobu too, a while back, or maybe they still do. I think they had a New York office as well. They were sort of trying to do the same thing, you know, shoot for the very high upscale things. That's outside of my market. Dave doesn't buy, you know, $5,000 original Hiroshikes and stuff like this. It's not my interest and not my market. So. And Yamada Shoten, in pre-internet days, it was glorious. It just, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It was crowded with stuff, it was junky, it was disorganized, it was junk and treasures, friendly people, and just up one floor from them was a place called Akane-do, which was even junkier and more full of treasures. And you could drag the box out from under the floor there and dig through it, and it was just fantastic. Those days are gone, long gone, long gone. Someone's asking, how long does the embossing last? This is here for life, absolutely for life. You couldn't get this embossing out without a steamroller. A steamroller wouldn't get it out. And we tried, just in fact last month, I told Rei-chan was doing one of our Mystique series prints with the big embossing of the cherry blossoms all the way around. And they're long and thin, and some of them she slipped. And she did the embossing and it slipped and did the embossing. So she got part of it where the cherry blossoms were sort of half embossed and half embossed over. And I told her, Rei-chan, that's it, it's finished. We can't fix this. We're doomed. And she's like, I'm like, you try what you want in your own spare time, try what you want. It doesn't work. Believe me, it doesn't work. So what she tried to do, she moistened it, she got a bare block out, and she tried to rub it so hard that it would take the embossing out and go back to flat. And then her idea was she would go and emboss it again. Didn't happen. And I'm telling you, this is not steamroller. This is really super hard embossing with a tough baron and rollers on top of it. You cannot get this out. And even if somehow you press so hard that it did, you're left with nothing but the thinnest of sheets, and you couldn't emboss that because there's no body left in it. So that group of prints, it was a half a dozen or so, they went bang. They went to the no good pile. You could maybe get it out. Soak this thing in hot water, boil it to the point where the fibers of the paper were all fluffing up again. But by that time you've destroyed your print. I think there's 3 or 4 conversations. I'm whatever. I think it seems there's lots of answering going on. How's our time? 8:30. Let me do a bit more of this. Just a bit more of this, please. And what's more boring to watch? This, or you're going to watch me sign Ningajo, New Year's cards, letters, and stuff them in envelopes? Do we use the no good pile as wrapping for ceramics? This is fun, you know. There's a paradox here, what to do with the no good pile. The no good pile now, I've got a 36-year no good pile. They're all in order, they're in envelopes, they're in ome. I'm just sort of wishing, if we could only have a fire one day and it would get rid of that problem for me, you know, what do we do with them? they're filed away, which means at some point they could get out. Of course, or if I don't do anything, they will get out at some point. It's really a paradox. And in the classical Japanese concept of work and workshops and shokunin, there are no such items. The guys are making stuff. A broken one gets discarded and burned and thrown away instantly. Everything else gets sold. There's no pile that these weren't quite good enough. It's a shokunin's pride. There's no such thing. Of course, you've got testing and getting ready for your job, and then you've got your job. And there's no in-between in the classical sense. There's no in-between. If we've got these prints, there's a bit too much chiri, or there's a tiny bit of misregistration or something like this. The ones that are the test prints that are grossly misregistered, that are the test, they just get scrunched up and go in the garbage and out with the burnable garbage. We're talking about things that we looked at, no, I can't sell that because of such and such. So the point being, these are a collection of finished prints, and now there are thousands and thousands. I've been doing this since 1980, whatever it is, 1986. The 100 poets, there's tons of them. Yesterday's print. This batch, there's going to be a few from this batch. Some of them will eventually escape, and it will be actually okay for some of them. The ones, for example, that have a mark with too much chiri. When we look at our antique prints in the show and tell, some of them have chiri and some have defects. Do we care? We don't, because it's 150, 200 years old. You get an antique car, it's got something a bit dent in it. You don't care because it's a valuable, interesting old antique. But nobody buys a new car with a scratch. You can't send out a new print with a scratch. But 100 years from now, it'll be a cool item. So this is sort of why I've resisted burning and throwing away everything, because they do sort of, in that sense, have their value. But there's no way I can send them out right now with our new products. And it comes up all the time. Yeah, run a B line, run a B rank, slight defects, little bit discount, out they go. But then the fact that they were sold at a discount or they were called factory rejects is lost, and the prints are out in the world, and it's a print with my name on it, and it's no good. So whatever, I have nothing new. We've talked about this many, many, many times. We're not going to release them. We store them. And I guess at some point, somewhere down the line, hopefully, presumably long after I'm gone, at the point where they have become antiques, then they can pick up their value. I don't know. I really don't know what to do. I've got myself in this jam. Again, somebody saying customers would find it wonderful to receive a misprint as a bonus with their shipment. Of course they would. Lots of people would love to have these things. There's demand for them. I understand that. But I don't want that stuff out there. I get in the show and tell sometimes. There's a print from Adachi 20 years ago and it's misregistered. I'm thinking, how the hell did they have, why did they sell this? I look down on them because they've sent out a substandard product. So there's a paradox there, I'm sorry. And all we can do at the moment is simply, no, we don't send them out. There's a little level in the middle there that does happen. We talked about this before. If it's misregistered as something, it's a dead duck and it goes in these envelopes. But we do have some of those prints. You saw them in the Great Wave. I clean up what I can, but there are then prints that I haven't been able to clean up, and there's on one of the Great Waves there might be a little bit of bark and a little bit of bark. The print actually is okay, but it's a little bit of couple of visible bark spots. And what we do is that group we put into the shop. If it's terrible, of course it goes in the junk pile. But there are some it's a beautiful, beautiful print with a couple of pieces of bark that's a bit too large. So we don't send those to people who have ordered from the waiting list because we don't want them opening the package thinking, now what's that dot there? So those we used to put in the shop, the great waves we had in the shop, 2017, 18, 2019. We have that group that we felt they were fine to be out in the market, but we didn't want people opening the package and seeing the dot. So that was no problem. We put those in the shop. People are in the shop, they pick it up, look at it, inspect it, decide if they want it or not, and take it home. So there are plenty of those out there. That's not a Mokuhankan printing defect. It was just a print that had a bit more, I don't know, bark in it that we would want to somebody to open up. You know, Japanese print. It's a few minutes later. Alarm. So. Someone's asking me what weight of paper am I using. I don't have the slightest idea, and I don't say that sarcastically. Just simply, I don't know. In the traditional printmaking field here in Japan, the grams per square meter is not a number that is ever used. In commercial OG paper, making paper for newspapers or something, it is. I just don't know those numbers, I'm sorry. Somebody may have an idea. Vivid KP knows more than I do about it. I don't know. The other thing too is there's no standard weight for us. The particular sheets that I have in my hand right now really are quite thin. They're thinner than what we were using for this set last year. We buy our paper from Iwano-san, and again, there's no numbering involved. He knows what we generally like. It wanders a bit, and I had a terrible, terrible experience a while back. Back when I was doing the poets, I was having difficulty. I couldn't control things well. I had got a batch of paper from him that had some sheets really a bit too thin, and they distorted, and I couldn't handle them well. So in the phone call at the end of that year for the next years, I said something like, I don't remember the words, I said something like, you know, I felt the paper was a bit thin this year, and I had trouble controlling it because I'm not so experienced yet. And he says, okay, good, no problem, next year we'll. And the next year, you could read this was happening. The next year he sent paper that was so thick, I could have, whatever, you could have made clothing out of it. And I struggled and struggled and struggled with it. This is Japanese, you know, a lot of it, you don't say straight, you just hint at what you mean. And I was just saying, I thought it was a little bit too thin, can we make it a bit bigger? And he thought that was a hint saying, don't ever send me a sheet of that crappy thin paper again, I want some bulk in this stuff. But you can't say that straight. But that's the message he got, okay? He thinks it's too thin, we'll show him, and bang, away it came. So it really is difficult sometimes. It really, really, really is difficult. And I learned over the years the way to handle that problem is, now when I put my yearly order in, if I want something that's a little bit different from what we saw before, I look through my stock, I find a couple of pieces of paper that are what I want, and I physically send him those pieces of paper and say, here's our goal, this is what we would like, can you please try and get closer to this? So we've learned that words and messages mean nothing, actual pieces of paper will get us close there. And actually, that's on my desk. I should have done that in the last couple of weeks. I should have put in next year's paper order. And in fact, I didn't even call him. He sent a year-end gift last week, and I didn't even phone him up. It's been so chaos. So he's probably thinking, Dave has found somebody else for the paper. I don't know. Like, no. Okay, enough of this embossing. Let's put it away. Let's put it away. It's not fair. Halfway through. Put this away. I'll pick it up after the stream. Okay, let me get to work on the New Year cards, because man, they have to be in the post today. Oh God, they've got to be in the post today. But before I do, a story. Yesterday we had a visit from two people. They are the couple, the elderly couple, who runs the Doi Hanga company. Their name is not Doi because the lady is the granddaughter of Doi Sadaichi, the guy who started the Doi Hunger Company back in the 1920s. And of course, she is the son of Doi-san. Sadaichi's son was Eiichi, and that's her father. But she got married and changed her name, of course, so her name isn't Doi. She's a piano teacher for many, 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 many years. Her father died, the company went into sleep for a while. She put it back together. And this is whatever, 10, 15 years ago, she sort of woke it up back together. So she and her current husband, I think she's still doing piano teaching or retired, I don't know. She and her current husband run the Doi Hunger Company. And we are part of the reason for her coming back to life, because we went to her trying to find blocks that we could use for our own work. And she started by, she's renting us these blocks. We get them and we print and we sell the prints and pay her a block royalty. And she realized that the business was actually still there and coming back to life. So she has started the same thing. She sends her blocks out to different printers around town, trying to find ones that can do a reasonable job. And she is back in business as a publisher. She was doing prints by Itakura-san, who I felt was not doing very good, but now she's using Yamamoto-kun, who used to work for Adachi. She uses Okada-san. She uses Tetsui-kun. So she's using some of the younger printers in town, and this is a good thing. Her business is coming back to life, and these young printers have work to do. And some of the prints that she's making, and she's got from her old stock, are in our catalog. And what happened the other day was I mentioned this in our year-end update video, without any intention of, hey, buy our Doi Hunger prints. I just mentioned that we had them while I was talking about Watanabe-san in the flea market. So what happens after the video goes out? We get a huge run on Doi and Yoshida prints last week, and we sold out of a bunch of them. I tell you, I don't even know how to work this advertising business. Anyway, so we phoned her a few days ago saying, there's been a rush of orders, we need this and this and this and this and this and this and this. So she came over with her husband yesterday to do two things: to bring those prints, and then to do what's called Tana Oroshi. They want to count, the stuff we have from her, it's on consignment here. We don't buy the prints from her and put them in the shop. She puts the prints in the shop here, and when they sell, we pay her for the ones that are sold. It's consignment sales. It's called itaku hanbai in Japanese. But it means you have to balance things. Once a year she comes over to make sure her accounting of what we have and our accounting of what we have match up. This is normal business. And year-end, how are you doing, that kind of stuff. She brought over a few other things with her. She checked this and checked that, brought the prints that we had purchased for the online sales and the way they went. And she says, while digging through to find your stuff, she said, I looked through some of the drawers and there's all kinds of stuff in there. And she said, I found some batches of prints, and she gestured like this. So that would be some few dozens of prints. She said, I found some batches of prints that are marked like this. What do you think? And she showed this to me, and I cracked my drawers. She showed this to me. It's got the two embossings on top. One is the top embossing. It says Doi Hanga 10, and then it's the copyright notice. And below it, it says, on the left-hand side, it says Hori Harada. You know where this story is going for that part. But then it says Suri Yokoi. Yokoi is a workshop. I think he came from Sendai, came down to Tokyo, set up a workshop. 1930s, 40s, 50s, finished in the 60s, before I came, long before I came. And it was the absolute top, #1, high-quality print workshop through the core of the 20th century. It didn't really survive the war. It did survive the war, they worked after the war, but it came apart soon after that. And she's got a bunch of these prints. And she said, what do you think if we put them in your shop, are they going to go? And I'm like, my volcano goes off and says, you can't sell that stuff. This is rare. This is like now, this is as rare as sort of finding pre-war hasuis and stuff like this. This doesn't exist anymore. The paper has become a bit toned from the age. It's got, can you see it? Most of them have that Doi watermark in there. Can you see the shape here? The paper itself. Can we do this? Can you see it if I hold it up to the light? We may blow out our camera here. I don't know. Or see, maybe we can do it here. Let's just say. There we are. Bingo, we can see it. See the watermark? It's got the Doi watermark in here. Now, not every sheet has that because of the way the watermarks were made. The watermark was once imagine a piece of paper the size of your screen here. It's got the watermark in one corner. Now if you cut that sheet of paper to make 2 prints, one of them will have the watermark, one won't. And when you cut the piece of paper to make three prints, Mitsugiriban, 1, 2, 3, only one of them gets the watermark. So whatever, that's something that we can't guarantee. And she, as I said, she gestured like this. She said there's 4 or 5 different designs and they're from the Yokoi. So I said, okay, wait, stop. Yes, we're interested, but one, I gotta know how many you've got, what's actually available there. These are, to me, worth much, much more than the ones made by currently Okada-san and Yamamoto-san. This is rare stuff and will never come back again. So she now, I sent her off, she's gone home last night, she's gonna send me an inventory of what they've got of these prints. If there's only, some of them maybe 1 copy of just some of them she may have 10 or 15 copies, I don't know. So once we find out what she's got, we will kind of put a value on these, and sometime in the new year, in January, maybe I'm just guessing out loud, in our first promotion email something of the new year in January, we will be featuring a bunch of these prints. And it's a real story, hidden for decades in the archives of the Doi Hunga Company, and now surfacing for the first time in 57 years. Shin Hunga prints printed by Yokoi. And that's actually the fabulously true story. This one, actually, no, she says the way they did the coloring was really cool, And I said, well, if we could see the original coloring, this is oxidization. And she says, what do you mean? I'm saying this dark part, this is oxidization. This is not what Yokoi printed. Yokoi printed this thing with a vermilion type pigment. Maybe he used tan or maybe he used vermilion. And this dark part is oxidization. And she says, wow, the cloud effect is so cool. I'm like, this is not a cloud effect. This is a defect. This print has started its journey on its way to death. Whatever it's done. And she said, well, they don't all have this. And I guess, wait, let me tell you, right? You just brought the top one in the pile to show us. And she's like, yeah, how did you know? And the top one is open to oxidization. It gets this color. The ones down inside the pile will not have oxidized yet. Cover them up. So anyway, so this is advance notice of something coming in January. She has gone back home. She's probably doing this today as we speak. She is taking an inventory of what she's got in this drawer, prints printed by Yokoi. The other question, which I wanted her to answer, which she doesn't actually really know the answer to. These designs are pre-war. This is Showa 9. Showa 9. What's the key? We add 23 to the number, like we add 25, I can't remember. Showa 9. We add 25, right? I'm supposed to do this. We add 29. So this print actually is a pre-war production. So I'm asking her, it's the same block set? And she says, no, and this is what she herself doesn't know and doesn't understand. The carver's name here is Harada. And he worked for the Doi Company in the 1950s and 60s before he died. He was working for them and working for Kyoto Hangai-in. So all she knows is that, yeah, that's the publication date, but it's now marked as Harada. And when you look at the blocks, and I don't have the blocks for this one, but we've looked at the blocks for many of the other Doi Hunga Company, it's a mishmash. We've got a block set that will have maybe a key block on a really old cherry, and the color blocks look much newer. And I think they've done the same thing that we do here at Mokuhankan. We did with the crane print this year. We've got one of the original blocks from the crane print, but Taran-san here carved some new blocks for me and put them in. So if you asked me for our crane print, the Tsuru, how old are the blocks? I've got to say it's a mishmash, a mix-up. What's the word? It's a I don't know, there's a word for it, I don't know. Some of them are original blocks and some are recut. And at some point, we don't even really know. It's the ship of Theseus or whatever. So is it the original block set? No. Is it part of the original block set? Maybe. And I have no idea, no way to tell which is which. Anyway, there we have it. As I said, this isn't show and tell. This isn't part of the show and tell, and I'm a bit leery about doing this because we don't do the QVC shopping thing here at Mokuhankan. We don't do this. Look at the print. Click now. This shopping will close at 9 o'clock. We don't do that. Well, if someone says a reproduction, no, that's an interesting point. for us, this is an original print from the original publisher. This is not a reproduction in any way whatsoever. Some of the blocks have been recut. That's just part of the normal production process inside the publisher's house. Koitsu came and designed it. He sat down with the printers when they did the first test prints, and now the publishers are making it. When the skin of your Baron wears out, you replace it. It's still an original print. When one of the blocks splits, you cut another one, replace it. It's still an original print. This is not a reproduction in any way whatsoever. This is an original 20th century print. It's a late printing. Of course, if you could find one that was printed in Showa 9, and you have no way of telling that because they're not dated, then that's the first sort of early ones. This is a later print. And if I get my hands on this block set next year, we will print some. It'll be an even later print. But those are all originals by our way of description. And they're printing runs. They're not editions. First edition, second edition, third edition. They're just batches, printing batches. This is, I've never even seen this image before. I didn't know this existed. This is Koitsu. You see where we are. We're in Futamigaura. And I didn't even know this print existed. And it's Yokoi. And I crapped myself yesterday when I saw this. I crapped myself. Once I find out what she's got, I'm going to keep some of these for myself, buy some for myself, and then the rest go outside. And I've never seen this. Sunset or sunrise? I don't know. I don't know which is the direction. I've never been to Futamigaura. When you look at it out into the sea, are you looking east or west? I don't know. I'm sorry. I have no idea. So there's those two, and there's a third one. There is of special interest to our American friends. There's an eagle. He has a hawk. In fact, we have in our catalog, we have the hawk already. We've never seen this one before. This is a Koitsu eagle, and again, it's Harada Yokoi. She and I were guessing about this, and I said, look, I can't give you a number yet, depending on how many you've got. If you've got 50 of these, no. But if you've only got 5, 6, 7 of these, or 2 or 3 of each, this is the price we're going to be looking at for that mountain. And for example, the ones with no oxidization would be 80,000, and with oxidization would be 70. That's the price. But again, that's a provisional, because it all depends how much she's got. If she's got a ton of these, then it won't be that much. And if she's only got one of the damn things, I don't know. So anyway, sorry, end of the sales talk, a miniature show and tell here in the middle. So much for that. Yeah, the watermark might be a factor too, you know. So, as I said, the watermarks only in the Mitsugiri band, only 1 out of 3 will be watermarked, and in the large versions, only half of them will be watermarked. But having said this about those prints, you know, there is something else I got to mention. And if we do start to sell them, there is something that I will absolutely have to mention. When they were in business making these things, they would have got them back from the printer in batches. The printer would have made whatever, 50 at a time, 100 at a time, whatever it is. I don't see any cut corners, but when her father, Eiichi-san, was selling these things, he'd get the batch. Okay, that's a bit of a problem with this one. Let's set it aside. Okay. So what we may be looking at here, this drawer or drawers or whatever, a box, whatever it is she's got, this could be, and maybe you've been talking about this could be the reject pile from 1960s. Absolutely. They didn't bother to cut the corners. But this could be the ones that, you know, I don't think it's quite up to the par of the rest of the ones in the group. And when I look at this to see if there's defects, well, other than the oxidization, which wouldn't have been present back then, could this have been a print that was marked as defective? And I looked at it last night after she left, and I'm like going through this. What was their standard? I can't find an obvious problem. There's no misregistration. There is a tiny bit of baransuji here, which makes it not perfect. Can you see these tiny marks there? Am I looking at a rejected print from 1957 or whatever? And I don't know, but I'm really curious to see what she has in that box. Because that could be exactly what we're looking at. The same conversation we had a few minutes ago. After I'm gone and dead, in 2072, somebody gets in a box at a basement in Oma and they open these prints and it's all the poets' prints. And oh my God, it's a treasure trove from Dave, when actually it's the same thing, are these rejects. So that is very much a possibility. And as we get these prints in January, when we're getting them ready for the website, we are going to be eagle-eyeing them, making sure. And if we'll tell this story. We'll just tell it like it is, what I can find. I won't announce Doi Hunger rejects, but we'll see if we can figure out why these are here. Things kind of go round and round and round and round. Okay, my job today, should you decide to accept it, Dave, is this. I have our New Year's card, which is top secret. Close your eyes, don't look at this, please. This is the Mokuhankan gift card for 2022. Those of you who are on Patreon will get this sometime next year if you're at that level of Patreon. Our Japanese, you know, what I'm going to be doing today. This is people like this. This is Kubota-san is going to get this. Dave Stone's my friend down in Aichi Prefecture. Iwano-san, our suppliers who live in Japan. They get this on January 1st. And if I don't get this to the post office today, they ain't going to get it. And they're going to think, why didn't I get a New Year's card from Dave this year? So don't look. None of these are going overseas right now. This is our internal to Japan run of New Year's cards. And my God, I have got to get this done today. This should have been done weeks ago. Here's the drill. Envelope. Like, this is interesting for anybody not Matsumura-san. You know, the guy who runs the Wood Like Matsumura. He gets, of course, gets a New Year card for me. This is, it's Kawasaki-san. Kawasaki-san carved us for this a couple of weeks ago. Well, let's show it, whatever. In for a dime, in for a dollar, whatever, what's the expression? It's Hasu. It's 4 blocks, 5 blocks, I don't remember. I did the color separations on it. And this is printed for us by Kawai-san. And when we get another batch, I'm going to ask the printers to go lighter on the line at the top. I think the line up top should be lighter. But anyway, that's our gift print for 2022. And the way they go out to people is this. In they go, folded. I should zoom out a bit. Print and backboard. And it goes. Print, signed, paper, backboard, tape, and something else essential for Japanese New Year's cards. When Japanese people send New Year's cards, they do it as a nengajo. It's an actual postcard. And the post office can see that it is a New Year's card, and if I give it to them today, they won't deliver it tomorrow. They will hold it back, and the Japanese post office makes a special delivery to all customers in the country. They make that delivery on New Year's morning. And people in Japan wait. New Year's morning, they have the first drink of the year, first sunrise, blah, 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 blah. And they go to their post box and they get their New Year's cards. There's no normal postal delivery until the 4th. But January 1st, the post office delivers all the New Year's cards. Now, because we don't send ours as an actual card, we don't just put an address on this and throw it in the mail like they used to do. We put them in here. The post office wouldn't know. And this would be a letter, and it would be held back until January 4th, when normal mail starts. But by putting this on, putting a stamp on that says Nenga, they will treat it like a New Year's card. And don't worry about people working on the holidays. This is college students who do this. There's a fleet of bicycles. The Japanese post office has tens of thousands of bicycles stored in warehouses around the country. And they come out December the 31st, the college students who've been trained up, and out they go. They've got their little map and how to do it, and out they go delivering the mail. And they get paid for it, of course, and they do that for the first 3 days of the year. Internal Japanese postage for a letter is 84. If we were sending this as an actual postcard, it would be cheaper. I think it's 63 or 62 or something. And here we go. This is what Matsumoto-san will receive. He's not watching, is he, this morning? This is what he will receive from us. And that's my job today. I have to do about 50 of these. Also, don't get me started on this. Have you seen this? You see what this is? It's the Japanese post office. These are quote unquote stamps, and they are a parody. They're a travesty. It's a sticky sheet. It's a seal. They're not stamps anymore. They're seals. It's an offset printed piece of junk seal. They're probably made for the post office by the Sanrio company. I'm ashamed and embarrassed. I've told our staff in Ome, never use the seal type, because they started doing this a few years ago, and I've told them, over my dead body, we're going to send real postage stamps. And all my staff says, okay, Dave, lie down. Because they've made their switch almost pretty much complete to this. We now really can't find interesting images. We can't find them. And I'm like, what's the point? What's the point? They're stickers. They're going to go brown. The glue on them is no good. Just don't get me started. Mr. Peters, CF Peters in Winnipeg. Don't blame me for what I'm about to do, please. Mr. Peters, he's the guy who taught me and trained me about stamp collecting. This is in Winnipeg in 1962, 1963, 1964. I had a paper route. I earned about $5 every 2 weeks. And I took my $5 and I took it straight to CF Peters. He was on Portage Avenue in Winnipeg between, near where we are. I went to Gordon Bell School, and he was about 4 or 5 blocks west of Gordon Bell School. And he was up on the second floor above the Dominion Bank. Dominion Bank. Now it's Toronto Dominion. And he turned me from being an accumulator into a stamp collector. He was an old guy. I was like 12 years old, and he was, I don't know, he was just a man. So he could have been 30, 40, 50, 60, I don't know. He had white hair. He must have been an old dude. He must be long gone. And he showed me, he looked at my little accumulation and then taught me this and that. And he said, okay, what you got to do, David? And I guess he was trying to sell stuff, but he was also just trying to encourage the young kid who was doing this. I don't know. And he said, you've got to specialize in something. Otherwise, you're just going to accumulate stuff and stick it in albums and not know anything about it. They're just colored stickers if you do that. You've got to choose a specialty, a specialization. You're just going to collect that small group, and you're going to learn why they were made, how they were made, what they were used for, all the little quirks and quicks about how they were made. He said, choose a specialty. Have your accumulation of the funny stamps from China that look real cool, whatever, because they're exotic. That's okay. Do that on the side. But as a stamp collector, you need a specialty. So I did. I chose Canadian 20th century pre-Elizabethan stamps. and that was my specialty. And the collection now is still in Ome, in albums that have now not been opened in more decades than I can count on one hand. And I collected from 1900 to 1952 pre-war pre-Elizabethan stamps. Dave, what am I doing? Itone. Stamp. Remembering a stamp collector. I remember nothing about him. I was really, the first few times, I go up the stairs, it's brown, creaky, dark staircase. This is prairies, mid-20th century prairies. I get up, it's a glass door with the lettering on it. I must have been scared crapless the first time I went in there, 10 years old, 11 years old. I go in there, and it's like a Victorian-era office. There's a brown railing, you go in there, and he's got desks, and there's a lamp and stuff like this, and it's kind of dark, and there's a dusty window on one side. To see that now would be just absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible. But he was really, really, really super friendly to me. Took my money, whatever, of course. C.F. Peters. Another thing he encouraged me to do, and I remember this actually too, is that I would go in there with my $5 or whatever, and he'd say, and I'd sort of maybe look at something, and I could buy 10 stamps or something with this, and he'd say, Dave, look, please, let's not do this. He said, let me show you something, and he'd pull out like a block set of 4, a corner block from 1901 of Victorian. He said, I just got this, and he said, this is really quite rare for us. Tell you what, and so he was selling me stuff, but I have the feeling that it wasn't like a salesman. He knew everything I got money-wise was going to him anyway, so there's no reason for him to sell me anything. So what he tried to do was direct my purchasing into interesting, useful, exotic, trainable, teachable items and stuff like that. Or maybe, to be cynical, he was just trying to get stuff off on me that he wasn't able to sell to somebody else. I'm not really going to be cynical about that. He was a super, super nice old guy. Anyway, the point being, what I've got then in my little collection, I've got some super, really nice, quite rare treasures. It might be a corner block from 1901, the Victorian map of Canada, and stuff like that. I should open it and have a look at it one day. Like I've got time to muck with that stuff. No. Has anybody Googled him? Is there any record of it? C.F. Peters Stamp Company in Winnipeg, Manitoba, 1950s, 1960s? Oh, whoops, I've lost my keys. I gotta keep track of what I'm doing here. This is dangerous. That stamp collection of mine, it was, I don't think we're looking at a huge ton of money, but whatever it was, things that I bought carefully as slightly rare items, and I only ever bought perfect mint unused. So stuff that I bought in the 1960s, like what's it worth now, I don't know, I have no idea, I don't really care. Maybe one day one of my grandchildren or great-grandchildren will stumble on this and it will be an oh my God moment, maybe, I don't know. No idea. But the other thing he did train me to do, and which I did, this was interesting. We had an old typewriter in our house, It was one of those black things with all the keys and the curved, you know, pa-chunk, 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 pa-chunk. And I got some, you bought a stamp album, not a thing where you, I don't know how do I pronounce it, 3-ring binder, heavy black, white card pages with a frilly border. And what I would do is, after I got maybe the King George V set of daily stuff, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 penny, 10 penny, 25, $1. Once I got the complete set of those ready, I would get these, you know, things where you don't put hinges on the back of these stamps, you put them in little black pockets. And then I would do some research. I'd go to the library under his guidance here. Here's what to look for, here's what to ask for. I'd go to the library, I'd drag out these old books on Canadian history, and I would find out when this was printed. It was done by steel intaglio engraving. The government had all these post office records. And I typed, not stories, I typed data sheets to go together with these stamps. King George III, blah, 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 date of issue, here, printed in runs of 100,000, run from steel intaglio plates and stuff like this. And so my albums are there. So it's not just an accumulation. I did the thing, I dug into the background of these stamps. I had a ton of fun. I was actually a real collector of this rather than just an accumulator. And this is all because of, you know, because of Mr. C.F. Peters. Five minutes to show and tell, but a mix. Okay. We do have a show and tell. We have a good show and tell today. We've already sort of had one, but whatever. Is the shop still around? C.F. Peters, he must be long gone. I was 10, 12 years old. He was 60, 70. Yeah, of course, there's no way. But is the business still there? I don't think so. It must have been a one-man business. I know nothing about it. Did I say King George III? I guess I'm sorry. Because King George the fifth, sixth. Sorry about that. King George III, postage stamps. Pretty rare stuff. Yeah, there's a difference. There's hoarders, there's accumulators, there's collectors. That's funny, C.F. Peters, music publisher. Yeah, we used to get their stuff in the music store, but this man's name was C.F. Peters. I've got envelopes and packaging from his shop. You know. Okay, for today's show and tell, advance warning. If some of the mods or somebody can get some links ready. Today's show and tell, we're going to be returning yet again to Kabuki Ju-Hachiban. So if you can grab some links from the Mokuhankan collection. The prints we're going to look at today are not in the collection, but in the collection we have other examples of the Kabuki Ju-Hachiban. And maybe if you can find a Wikipedia page on the Kabuki Ju-Hachiban, which has a list of the 18 plays, that may be useful for today's show and tell. Kabuki-ju Hachiban. Okay, let me do one more of these things and then let's switch to show and tell. One more of these things. That gives the mods a chance to do that research. 18 kabuki plays. We have a new to me version of it. Our landlady. If I missed this, if I missed doing this and New Year's morning, she didn't get a New Year's card from us, she'd be like, it's the end of the world, they're collapsing, what's going on? This has to be done today. So, the Kabuki-ju Hachiban, we have, I think now in the collection, I think there's 3. Somebody's given 1 link, that's right, but we have more. There's at least 3 groups in the collection there, and now we have 4, I think. We have some match label Kabuki-ju Hachiban, we have some Senshafda Kabuki-ju Hachiban. Our landlady, as far as prints goes, her grandfather ran a major print workshop in Tokyo. This is one reason why we are here in this building. She wants to support our work because she wants to keep print making and print selling and print doing and stuff active. Her grandfather, he ran one of the biggest print workshops. They specialized in senshafta prints and pochibukuro and the kind of stuff like that. You've seen me open them in show and tell. We have had in show and tell prints that were made by her grandfather. So she just loves what we're doing, the fact that we're in this building and in this district and supporting this kind of work. She loves that. Loves it, loves it, loves it. Okay, here's the official show and tell for today. The post office didn't come delivering that box. It's too bad. There's a fabulous item I picked up on Yahoo Auction this week. No problem. It will be for our first stream in the new year. No problem. We can wait. But that does mean I won't be able to open it because I have to open it, check it, and sign off on it. Don't forget to refill the water flask. That's right, January 1st. It's doing really well. There's no green in it this year. Did we change partway through the year? Remind me. Did I give up and change it, wash it during the year? I can't remember. There's no green in here. I can't see anything. Why, there's a bit of sand at the bottom. I don't see no sea monkeys this year. I don't remember. I don't remember at all. I'm sorry. It just all blurs together. There's just so much going on with us now that I just cannot remember. Maybe we did. I do not know. I do not know. Okay, the guy who got this knew what it was, but he hasn't curated it properly. So I think everything in here, this is really going to be mixed up, and we're going to have to try and sort it out. Looking at the auction page he made, he clearly didn't quite understand what it all was. So he's just dumped a bunch of stuff together. And some of this may not even belong together with the rest of it. It's Senshafta Kabuki-ju Hachiban. And for those of you who don't know what the background is, back in the, I don't know, have the mods tell me, back when this came, in the 1800s somewhere, the Danjuro clan, one of the main families of kabuki actors, they specialized in what's called the aragoto style, the rough and tough and dramatic and shouting and screaming and look how powerful I am. They specialized in that style, and they selected a group of 18 plays. And they became known as the Kabuki-ju Hachiban, the Kabuki 18 plays. And they that family sort of said, this is my stuff, and your other families, you do your own plays and whatever. So they tried to take over that group of plays. And it still exists. Not many of the 18 are still in performance down at the Kabuki theaters, there's 4 or 5 of them that are good enough that they're still in performance. The rest have just flown away into history. Okay, what we're looking at, this is a Senshafda set, but this is not Meiji, Taisho, early Showa. This is post-war. And in fact, we'll probably find a date on this, and this would have been made sometime after I came to Japan. This Senshafda business was still on its very last legs. They were still making them. The people who made this, I knew them. Some of them are still alive. We'll see some dates and names somewhere as we go through in the back of this. In fact, maybe then what we should do actually is skip to the back of this so we can get some dates and names. Here we are, right here. It's Heisei 3, third year of the Heisei era. This is 1991. So this set dates from the early 1990s. This is not anything like old antiques. What you're seeing here are the names of the people who sponsored this set to be built. It was a group of people, a Senshafda Kai. Maybe it was sponsored by a publisher, I don't know. We might find some information as we go through here. Pictures by Yamamoto Hisashi. We will find some information on the carvers and printers. There's the calligrapher. I don't see any information on who carved and printed it. It's almost certainly Sekioka-san. Oh, here we are. Here's the makers. Here's the team that made the physical prints. I can read some of this. The pictures, the drawings, are by Yamamoto Hisashi. And we have the carver and printer. And I don't know the carver. How would you pronounce that? Iwashita? Iwashita-san? I don't even recognize the name, I'm sorry. But the printer I do recognize. This is Sekioka Sendei. He's the printer for this, and he was a printer. He's dead now. He specialized in this stuff. His son is still active. His son is Sekioka Yusuke, and he is the main carver in the downtown Kumiai, the downtown association of woodblock printmakers. So the rest of them are the sponsors' names. The sponsors' names. So let's have a look. Let's get to the actual pictures. The kabuki, just go back to the beginning then. And we will see the title page. My God, these guys really went to town. It's a full production. A cover sheet, title page. I should have started at the beginning. There it is. There's the date right there, and the carver and printer are listed. I should have just gone from the front page. Sorry about that. More introductory information. Let's get to the pictures. Here we are. The 18 Kabuki Juhachiban. These are what's called yoncho, 4 up. You saw the little postcard prints I had in the last show and tell. We had 2 prints printed on 1 sheet of paper as a 2 up. The Senshafda prints, this is 4 of them. See the black borders? There's a little indentation here. That shape, 1/4 of this, would be a single Senshafda print. The labels that people used to stick up on the temple gates and stuff like that. Bit by bit by bit, they wanted to make larger, more interesting pictures, so they got in the concept of making a 2 up. You would make a piece of paper that's big enough for 2 Senshafda side by side to make a picture on it. These are yoncho, 4 ups. Oh, you've got it, John's got it. Iwashita Saburo, worked in Tokyo early 60s into the 70s. There you are, thank you. A name I didn't know and a man I never met. So I came in I visited in late 70s, early 80s. I came here to live in 86. So he was maybe gone before I joined that group. And some of these I can read and some I can't read. The names of the actual. Let's zoom in. I know there's no point looking at all these names out there, I think. So let me trim this. Let's zoom in. The names are going to be repeated here and there. I know without some intensive research here. We have Yoshida's name here. Will Yoshida appear somewhere later? I have no idea. If they sold out the thing, they would have enough names and nobody's names would be repeated. If they needed more people to cough up some more money, Yoshida might appear here 2 or 3 times. I don't know. Our friend Doi-san, Toshikazu, he is probably in here. He would have been part of this group. And I don't know the names of all the 18 plays. These are the play names. What is this? This is Sekihane, Sekiba? I don't know. I don't know them. Some of them I'll recognize, some of them I will not know. If somebody's got a list of the Kabuki Juhachiban, that's fine. If you don't, we don't have them. And these guys have done a nice job, you know. Quite often work in this era, the 60s. This is when? This is 90s. This could have been a tragedy. These guys have done their job properly. Shibaraku. Something else about this too, in the 1990s, what you're seeing is a woodblock print. The middle area was carved and printed. It's put together with a plastic sheet. The names here are printed. By the 1990s, nobody is taking the time and trouble to carve all these names. The calligraphy is done, it's photographed and made into a jushiban. You've seen it, this thing I was using this morning to do that embossing. That's how these names are done. That little plate I had, plastic plate, that's what's used to make all the names on these. Back in the old days, no. In the Taisho era, no. They would have been carved. Pre-war carved, post-war, nobody is going to mess around with that anymore. So the calligraphy is done with polymer plates. The pictures themselves are done as classical woodblock prints. I cannot read that at all. I am sorry. So the previous one, as I said, the previous one was Shibaraku. Can Yes, Shibaraku. Someone's got it. You've got it. You're on me here. Nanatsume. Yes, I can see. Now that you say it, I can see it. Nanatsume. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As far as what the stories were about, none of my business. None of my business. We should peek so you can see what's coming up next. No, something I can't. Is this Hori Bori? I don't know. Sorry, no idea. We're going to scan these and put them up on the collection. Zohiki. Hiki, really? Yes, it is Hiki. Okay. Who's this? Lingual Logic. Thank you, sir. You're way ahead of me. Thank you. You got the next one coming up, do you? Oh, so I should. We've got an elephant in here. Of course, I should have known. That's the key. I should have just flipped this open. Zohiki. But I wasn't fast enough on the uptake this morning. Sorry about that. So, I don't know. I'm not a kabuki expert. We've talked about this a million times. I have no idea what the object is. It's a net. It looks like a fishing net. It's a sort of a basket. You would lower it into the water and scoop something. I don't know. That's your clue to what the story is. Silence here. Somebody else is still looking for this. I don't know. Funny colors too. So these the color palette too. Now this is absolutely late 20th century color palettes. It's nominally ukiyo-e, but there's no ukiyo-e designer ever would have used colors like that. Someone says narukami. That's the next one to show. Next one is narukami. This one I don't know. I'm sorry. We're skipping this. Oh, this one I can read. Yanone. Got one, I got one, I got one. Yanone is coming up. This would be the narukami. Kasurebori, ne? Lots of carving in this, in the shape of scratch brushing. So, narukami. Next one is yanone. Open up another one coming up. Oh, I can get the next one too. Sukeroku. Sukeroku. This one I should know. It's a single kanji, but I don't remember that one. No way. Okay. This is fun. Okay, this is the classic view. Whenever you see Kabuki-ju Hachiban of Yanone, it's always straight on. And we're seeing in here by here, the nested boxes. This is the symbol of the Danjuro clan. So this, all the Kabuki-ju Hachiban ties together to Danjuro. And these nested 3 concentric square circles, and they are sake cups. We all know cups as being round for drinking. The traditional Japanese sake cup is a little cedar box. And when you nest 3 of them, that became the Danjuro clan mark. This is Skiroku. This one I can read. And I think, yeah, umbrella, that's the key to this one. I don't know the story in the background. So. These are vividly printed, you know. The paper actually isn't the highest quality paper. It's the kind of more junkish paper we call now masa. And in order, actually, there's so many prints here, the paper cost would have been a major factor in this set. I mean, they had so many sponsors, I thought they could have afforded nice paper, but they didn't. This is masa paper. It's full of pulp, and there's no way these prints are going to age gracefully. They're white right now. They've been kept in an envelope, never opened up. There's a bit of toning at the edge, where oxygen has gone in at the edge. A bit of toning here. These are not going to be your 200-year lasting prints. Absolutely not. Uwanari. Yeah, I'm supposed to remember that one. Thank you. Uwanari, yes. No, it's still mulberry, but it's mulberry with a heavy amount of pulp mixed in. Thank you. That's the alternative show and tell for today. You will have to just wait until January. It's so much fun. And this gives me a good chance, actually. I know what that is, but I don't know about all the details. So this gives me a chance to do a bit of research myself so I can say, and yes, here we have now. Okay, whatever. Let's keep moving, let's keep moving. It's not show and tease. You're happy here. We've got this to show. I've lost track of what we're doing. This is Gai something, Soto something. What are we? The last one was Nani? Kamahige. I've lost track of what people are saying here. Kamahige. I don't, Soto something. Uiro. No idea. Oh, next one I can read also. Next one is Fudo. And we're talking about a visit to hell. This is one of the demons in hell. This is nicely done. The images are nice, you know. The images are nice. The carving is nice. The printing is well done. I have no complaints with this thing at all. This is a pleasant set. The end of the end of the end, 1990s. This is Te something. Fudo is no demon, he's a wisdom king. I stand, whatever, as I'm not corrected because I don't know what these are. But we're talking about in hell, the show. Whatever, I'll keep quiet. Someone's asking about the eyes. I know. I've never been to a kabuki play. I've never seen the men on stage, what they're doing. In all the, tenuki desu ne. So, in all the images we see of kabuki, the ukiyo-e parody of kabuki, no, the ukiyo-e way of depicting kabuki, it became crossed eyes. And I don't know, does this really happen on stage? Does the guy come to the podium, stand, make his dramatic scene, and does he actually cross his eyes? I'm sorry, I really don't know. I've never actually been to one of these. John, have you been to kabuki? They do an intense glare with crossed eyes. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm sorry. I'm happy. The colors are not my colors. We would never publish something with colors like this, but the style is what it is. This is a 1990s version, and I can get, that they were just simply trying to do something nice and original. They weren't trying to simply replicate old-fashioned prints. They were trying to make a 1990s version of this, so it's okay. I get this. It's not my taste, but I am just so happy that it's printed cleanly, registered properly, cut smoothly. I'm a happy camper to see these. Style is style. These things are nicely made, and they are beautifully done. So I'm happy with that. No complaint here on my part. Have we come to 18? Really? Have we got a full set? I don't know. I wasn't counting. Someone's saying mie pose, they actually crossed their eyes, but like so, only for the people in the front row. I really don't know. Was that 18? That seems a bit quick. Just a minute, let me skip back here myself for a second. Do we have an actual full set here? Just a moment. Excuse me while I cross my eyes and count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15. We ran through 18. There is. It's a full set. We're done. There is a full set. Then I guess either they had more sponsors than they know what to do with, I don't know, or it was planned from the beginning. They've added a few extras that have the, I've forgotten the name for them, the masks, the print. You get it. In the makeup room, after they finish the play, before they wipe off their makeup, they had this deal where you would put paper over and oil and whatever, and you would pull off an impression of the actor's mask, and one of the fans would get to take that home that day, the people waiting outside the change rooms. And I forget the name of it. So this is it's a print taken from the guy's face at the very end of the performance before he gets in the shower and washes himself up. And I forget the name of it. And this is they wouldn't look that neat and clean. They're pretty messy. It's oily pigments and it doesn't fit your flat face and whatever. But this is a woodblock print made in the same idea as that concept. Kumadori. 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 Not a death mask. It's a post-performance mask. Kumadori. And then we have the colophon. And then the guy who put this up on Yahoo Auction, he put some other stuff in it. And without further exploration yet, I don't know whether these were a colophon to that same set or whether they're not related. I don't know. They are clearly the same type of drawing, same type of paper, same type of printing, same type of everything. So it could be a colophon, an addendum to that set, or it could be something from a completely different set that has just become mixed in. I don't know. I don't know. The paper is the paper is wider and cleaner now that I think about it. The paper doesn't match. This is later. This is something that was done later. So I guess the auction guy just gave me a bonus here. I don't really know what it is. It's obviously clearly kabuki related. Carving and printing seems identical. Paper is wider. I don't know. They could be from a different set, or as I said, they could be an addition to the same set. It could have been a really, really successful production, and they just kept making and printing, making and printing. But all of it, the carving is really, really nicely done. Very happy to see this. Very happy to get this. What did I pay for this? Just let me check one last thing here before we get ready to sign off. Just so you know, I bought this on Yahoo Auction last week. Let me look for the ones, winning bids, winning auctions. This wasn't one of those cheap ones where I just bought, got for $5, whatever. Here we are, 5,500 yen. Where's the auction? Where's the stream? Here's the auction page. So you can see, we paid 5,500 yen for this, which for me is a pretty good deal. Of course, we're not going to sell this. It's going to go into our collection. But this, it would be possible to break it up and sell it, but there's no way we're going to do such a thing. I think it's cheap. I'm happy to get it for that price. I would have paid more than that for a set this nicely made as a perfect representative of the last gasp of the Woodblock Printers Association here. Okay, here we are. We're done, we're done, we're done. That's it, gang, for the year. That's it for the year. I am super happy with the way this is going. I really still don't quite get it from the point of view of the people watching, why people keep coming back to this channel and watching. Is it that interesting? I don't sort of know, and I don't think so. But I sort of get it. If I was living in Canada before I came here, I would like this window to Japan to see what's going on here and there. So I get it, and we're happy to be part of that. I'm going to keep going. This is the end of our 4th year. I think it's the end of our 4th year of streaming. I started in late 2017. No, we're in our 5th year now. I started in 2017, and we're now at 21. So we're starting our 6th year of Twitch streaming next year. I can't believe that. It's astonishing to me. I can't believe that. Heads up, there will be no stream January 1st for me, New Year's Eve for you. You have other things to do, and I want a clean, clear day off. We've got a good weather forecast, and I'm going to walk my feet off on January 1st. Maybe take a little camera, take some pictures. Who knows, whatever. I'll be back here for me on Monday morning, Japan time, which will be Sunday evening for you guys overseas. And the work, I have no idea what work I'll be doing. Literally, honestly, I have no idea what work I'll be doing. I can guarantee a good show and tell, but I don't know what work I'll be doing. Enough. Thank you very much. And there's a New Year greeting in Japanese, but I cannot say this. The culture is very strong. You don't give the New Year greeting. Even if you see somebody on New Year's Eve, you can't say like the Japanese version of Happy New Year. You can't say it on New Year's Eve. You can only say that once the year has changed. So it was in my letters there. So what they do say is in Japanese, if you're seeing somebody at this time of year, you say, Yoi otoshi o, yoi toshi o. Have a good year next year. Yoi otoshi. Yoi good otoshi, year. So good year, have a good year. But we don't give the actual New Year greeting. Okay, I'm out of here. Oh, the Ninja Boys are active. There's the boy, the guy in black. He's the guy who does the rappelling down from the top. You can see the awnings. The left awning is out, the right awning is in. That's where he will be rappelling down any number of times today. Will he survive? I don't know. He's got a sword thing, and his sword is metal. It's not an actual real sword. You're not permitted to walk around with those things. It's the firearms, what's it called? The Japanese Firearms and Swords Control Act. There's really strict on what you are allowed to do or touch or handle with those things. You don't walk around town with them anyway, anyhow. It's the same law that controls being able to wear firearms. It's the Firearms and Swords Control Act. So no, he's got a toy sword there, of course. Okay, they're not going to do any repelling in the near future. Let's get out of here. Thank you again. Let's see this lady walk by, and then we'll sign off. Bye for now. See you next year.